Hello, I'm Faye, and today is the last day of the year. 2018 is coming to an end, and I'm really excited for Tome Infinity Round 2 to start tomorrow. The entire month of January will be dedicated to reading science fiction novels, or at least as many as I can in one month without getting bogged down with it all. The first round of Tome Infinity was super fun. It was a sort of choose your own adventure style readathon where you ended up on one planet in the end. I ended up on Jupiter, but I'm going to be totally disloyal and start building my civilization on Mercury together with Shelby at Read and Find Out. There are so many prompts, and of course we all want to get our developed civilization as far as possible, but with 30 prompts, even 15 if you double up every single one, it's just too many books for me to read in one month. So a little teamwork is much appreciated. So far we've only mapped out the first tier. There are 5, each with 6 prompts, and I've got 3 books that I want to read that will fulfill 3 of the prompts for the first tier, and with Shelby reading fulfilling the 3 other prompts, we'll at least get to the first step, which getting that checked off will be great. For the first tier, after first reading, where is it? Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which will get me onto Mercury from Jupiter, where I'm currently lonely. I've started reading this first few pages today, and hope to finish this very early on in the month to start actually fulfilling the 3 prompts for the first tier. I will read The Beauty by Aaliyah Whitley, is that the name? To fulfill the prompt Fire. This, you could claim, looks a bit like fire anyway, but the blurb in the back talks about the men in a community all gathering around a fireside to listen to the stories that the storyteller tells them, about women, I think, because I think there are no women kicking around, and then there's also some secrets and peculiar mushrooms growing in the woods where the women were buried. It all sounds a little bit spooky. I'm guessing this is maybe actually a bit of a combination of sci-fi and horror, perhaps. It's also not a really big book, which is always good for a readathon. Also good for a readathon is a graphic novel, and even though this one is quite hefty, I'm going to read Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. I've never read this, and I've never seen the movie either. This is about superheroes, I think, with more than human traits and personalities. I'm going to read this for the prompt Sleep, which I think is a bit of a stretch. I'm choosing to count this for sleep because after a little bit of a Wikipedia search, there's apparently a character called Night Owl who has very weird sleep habits or goes to bed very early so that he can wake up very early as well to do his duties as a superhero. So it's a bit of a stretch. I hope that's actually in here. Otherwise the prompt won't be met very well by this choice. And then as a third book, I want to read The Stone Gods by Janet Winterson to fulfill the air prompt. And I know incredibly little about this book, except for that I will be borrowing it from a friend who recommended it. Also, I believe it's a sci-fi novel set millions of years in the future. The cover has sort of stars on it, so you could say, maybe, oh, air, that fulfills the prompt. But the blurb also talks about hearing news over the airwaves. I believe this is a story about an LGBT couple, which I think would be really cool to mix that up a little bit as well. And I just hope it fits the prompt of air. And then Shelby will be taking over the food, shelter, and after, what was the other prompt? Water prompts. And then we will have tier checked off. Then I will just hope that some of the books that I read out of these 3 also can double up to fulfill some other prompt. I also have lying around as very nice options 4 volumes of Saga, 5, 6, 7 and 8. which are obviously quick reads. They also are able to fulfill any prompt because Saga is one of the suggested reading recommendations from one of the readathon hosts. So the rules are that can just fit any tier prompt that you are struggling with fulfilling. Also, Saga has so much in it that even if you weren't just taking it as a free ride, chances are I can find some prompt that is fulfilled by reading Saga. I will also be reading Friday Black by Namakwame Ajay Brenya. I really hope I didn't butcher his name because anyone who knows me also knows that I have a painfully long name. Faye is the nice part. And this sounds really, really good. This is a collection of short stories that all have a sci-fi twist. This could fulfill so many prompts though. I believe there's short stories here that would fulfill the education prompt because they're set in high school. I'm pretty sure that this is like an urban setting as well, so that is one of the prompts. There is also the prompt right at the end, if you make it to the final 5th tier, that this would fulfill the Afrofuturism prompt. This touches quite heavily on themes of racism as well, I believe. So I am very curious to read this, especially because we are reading this in my book club, so I have to read it. And this month, with being Tome Infinity, just fits perfectly. And finally, I also have Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood kicking around. This is another of the freebie books that you can use to replace any of the prompts. Again, I'm sure you could fit it in anyway somehow, but I've been meaning to read this for a long time. This is the first in a sci-fi fantasy trilogy by Margaret Atwood. I've read 2 or 3 things by her, and this can maybe help me decide whether she's an author that I really love. I'm looking forward to this. And then I have more sci-fi books on my shelves, but I'm going to refrain from showing you those because even if I read all of this, I'll be happy, and I will fill you in anyway, and then we can see if I manage to stick to my TBR. That would be a miracle. So give me your opinions on any of those books to lead me in the right direction. I'm really looking forward to Tome Infinity, especially because I think teaming up will be really fun to hold each other accountable and also cheer each other along a little bit. I will fill you in at a later point. Until then, bye.